if you haven't heard, the Hawktua girl, aka Haley Welch, has a podcast now. It's sponsored by the Paul brothers, and from what I hear, it's as inane as you might expect a podcast to be by a person who got famous from one sentence. But to be honest, I don't blame Haley. She's probably just trying to get that bag, and these days you gotta do whatever you need to. My issue is with the people who gave her a podcast based off of a single moment, because people need to have the skills to pull off something like a podcast. And this is hardly the first instance of someone having a second of fame and being catapulted into 15 minutes of fame. One person that springs to mind is the apparently little boy, aka Noah Ritter. It's exactly what it sounds like. A little 5-year-old boy named Noah was interviewed by a Pennsylvania news station, and he misused the word apparently a lot. It was very cute. Was it worthy of national attention? Probably not, but that happened anyway. Shows as large as Ellen's talk show had Noah on multiple times. And the thing is, when someone comes on these shows for an interview, the reason for the interview is that you want them to be asked interesting questions about something that's coming up for them. Usually it's like a movie, a book, whatever. But when you have people like a little 5-year-old who just used a word incorrectly on your show, there's not a lot for you to talk about. There's not an objective for you to talk to them, basically. So the questions that came up in Noah's multiple interviews are things like, so what grade are you in? And do you like California? And then they'll show footage of like another fair that the show sent him to with his family or something. But again, what's the point? What's the objective here? And what's the objective 4 times? Noah, like all kids his age at that point, talks in circles. He doesn't have the skills necessary to be on a type of show like that, because he was 5 years old. A more dramatic example of this is Kai Lawrence McGillivray. You probably didn't know his name, but you most likely remember his face. In 2013, Kai was homeless and hitchhiking, and basically the guy he had hitched a ride from attacked a utility worker with his car, pinned him against, I think, a utility pole, and then when this woman came over to help, the driver then attacked the woman, and so Kai took a hatchet he had with him and he slammed it onto the guy's head. But it wasn't really Kai's heroism that shot him to fame. It was mostly his wacky way of telling the story and the fact that he paused before answering the first question to tell everyone that, like, they're loved and there's a place for them in the universe or whatever. Like Noah, Kai was invited on a lot of national TV shows to talk about the incident, and like Noah, it was clear that Kai was out of his depth on national TV. But where Noah was cute and endearing, Kai was a little off. One show he appeared on was Jimmy Kimmel's Late Night Show. Jimmy tried to do a sketch with Kai that was at least partially improvised, and it absolutely fell flat because improvisation is a skill, and it's a skill that Kai happens to not have. Then he was brought to Hollywood to take advantage of all these new opportunities that were being presented to him. And he decided to use the opportunity to pee on Julio Iglesias' star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And that was just one of the off-the-wall things he did while he was in Hollywood. Whether it was drugs or mental illness, Kai was not in a place to be trotted out in front of a nation and basically asked to perform. And this was proven when 3 months after he went viral, he got arrested for murder. I really want these TV hosts to look into who they are platforming and whether they have the skills to enhance your talk show or whatever. Like, why not bring a proven good storyteller on your show, like Good Morning America did with Risa Tisa, aka Teresa. Teresa had TikTok in the palm of her hand for days. All she did was talk to a camera a lot of times while sitting in her car. And she didn't need more than that because she's a great storyteller. And she proved that when she was on Good Morning America. She had the skills to answer the questions in an interesting way. And I bet she'd be a pretty good podcast host. It just frustrates me that there are people who have the skills to do what these people are doing, but they're not tapped to do it. Some rando is. And just from a business angle, it doesn't really make sense. Watching Kai in the sketch with Jimmy Kimmel doesn't bring back fond memories of Kai's initial interview. It just makes a person uneasy because Kai is clearly on a different planet. And the same thing can be said for Haley Welch. There are so many people who, like her, went viral for something, but they have the skills to have a podcast. So why haven't those other people been given the same opportunity?